Alright guys, this is going to be a video response to Admin Coralick's video on the fact that Microsoft has done a 180 on their DRM situation and they're dropping all of, well, pretty much all of the annoying things that they were planning to do with Xbox One. Now, loads of people have made videos on this topic already, so I'm not going to go over the various reasons why that is awesome. Adam's video goes into great detail about, what it means for the industry, what it means for fans, what it means for freedoms, and all that good stuff. So yeah, there's lots out there. I'm sure you've already seen people talk about that a lot. So it is a great thing, and it seems to be an example of people power, like voting with your wallet and just directly saying to a corporation, we ain't going to stand for that shit, we don't want it. And apparently some of the numbers were crazy, like some of the major retailers had like 95 PS4 pre-orders to every 5 Microsoft One, Xbox One pre-orders. So I mean, that's got to be the reason. It surely seems to be the reason that they've done this 180 and just thought, you know what, we are fucked if we carry on like this. As much as it seems to be the case, and we complain about the fact that they seem to be aiming for this wider casual market, so to speak, that probably doesn't care so much about, holding on to collections and all the rest of it. As much as that we kind of complain about that, it does seem to be the case that the people that are interested initially and follow the news about such things, and the kind of people that put pre-orders in are more hardcore gamers, are people that follow gaming news, are people that watch these conferences that they set up to try and wow everybody, which was one of their Microsoft's obviously kind of failures, is that they designed this conference around a more broad approach, but it's not the more broad audience that's going to be watching your conference. So of course the initial buzz was going to be negative about those features that just were superfluous. I don't want to connect, as Adam was saying. I do not want a connect at all. I don't care. It was shit on 360. There's no reason to think that it's going to be any better on Xbox One, and even if it is, it shouldn't be forced upon you as an expensive peripheral that is mandatory. That's ridiculous. And I don't want a camera in my room as well. And yeah, I mean, it is true, it's not paranoid. I said this before in the last video, it's not paranoid to think that there's surveillance issues out there, and Microsoft is specifically named as one of the companies that has been given direct access to its servers to the US government under this PRISM program, and that surveillance, there's tip of the iceberg, there's a lot going on with that. But that's not one of the main issues. I don't want to connect. I just don't want it because I don't use it. I just, the room that I play games in isn't typically really big enough for Connect. I don't want to be playing those types of games. I like to use a controller, all the rest of it, whatever. So they're forcing things on you that are unnecessary, and it's costing more money as well to do that. And so it's so that's an issue with that. But yeah, and the controlling of second-hand games and all the rest of it, we've heard from lots of other people why that is counter to kind of ideas of consumer rights and that kind of thing. So where was I going with this? Yeah, so I found an article that suggests that rather than being people power, that this 180 of Microsoft was more likely probably brought on by industry insiders that were panicking about the situation. Now, I don't agree with the overall conclusion of this article, but I'm going to link it to you and you can go and have a look, and I'll just read kind of a headline kind of point that this article makes. And it says, if Sony hadn't have been so bloodthirsty, we would never have seen the intense anti-Xbox reaction over E3 week or the subsequent pre-order shifts, and in all likelihood we would never have seen Microsoft change its DRM stance on Xbox One. Now, I don't agree with that. It said, if Sony hadn't have been so bloodthirsty, we would never have seen the intense anti-Xbox reaction. I don't think that's true, because I think the anti-Xbox reaction was already starting to brew before Sony kind of stuck the boot in. And I think gamers, the people that have been following the situation, and the people that do comment on these, on social networks and all the rest of it, and the people who do put the pre-orders down, those people, they know the situation. They don't need Sony to have a pop at Xbox to know what is wrong about that situation. So, and even if Sony took advantage of that groundswell of kind of opposition to what Microsoft were planning to do, that was based on, it was based on the customers' kind of reaction, and that was already happening. But this article then goes on to kind of argue that there was industry insiders, publishers and developers freaking out over this situation and threatening to take exclusive content from Xbox One onto PS4, and basically just freaking out and saying, look, the money's over here, we're going to be going up to PS4 if you don't sort things out. So this article argues that it's then down to industry insiders that we've seen this 180. But if it is indeed true that industry insiders, such as publishers, developers, and what's happened with Sony, if all that stuff put pressure on Microsoft, it was because of the reaction of consumers. Because that's, at the end of the day, the bottom line for all of this, all of consumerism, all of capitalism is based on the people that spend the money, and that is the customer, and that is us. So all of those decisions, all of those pressures, all of those worries within the industry were based on the reaction from the consumer. So I mean, this article makes some good points, but I think its conclusion isn't really right. I think Adam's conclusion and a lot of other people who've made the same conclusion are right to say that it is people power that has done this, and that's brilliant to see that can actually happen. So, clearly, with such a pointed, with such awareness of the situation at hand as well, I'm really proud of the gaming community that know exactly what is wrong with this situation. The whole issue of trying to reclassify the act of buying as renting. So this is kind of where it seems to be moving towards, and that's a dangerous classification shift. That if we allow them to do that, it does take away a lot of consumer rights, and it's just bad for the preservation of the history of the industry in this case as well. And it wouldn't be accepted on other entertainment mediums. That they're taking the piss in the gaming community, the gaming industry. They're taking the piss, and they're trying to get away with stuff that you would not be able to get away with in other industries. Imagine buying a DVD and you having to install it on your DVD player, and it only works on your DVD player, and you can never sell it at a car boot or lend it to a friend or whatever, or like 8 years down the line when a new DVD player model comes out for some reason, you can no longer use it because the servers aren't supported anymore for that film on that format, or CDs with music as well. It just wouldn't be accepted anywhere else. But they try and get away with it in the gaming industry, and it takes the piss, absolutely does. Which is why it's been great to see most people, get behind this effort to send a message out to Microsoft that this is unacceptable. So it was great to see that. I understand it doesn't affect some people, they don't care about these issues and blah 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 blah, and they just want the games and stuff, but in a situation where even if you don't think it's going to personally affect you, you can see that there are issues there whether you care or not. You can see that there are clear issues there to do with manipulation of markets, manipulation of customers, taking away of rights and functionality in the long run, and all the rest of it. There's a lot of issues, so I just think it was worth getting behind those efforts to send a message, and I'd like to see that kind of happen elsewhere as well. I talked briefly about the surveillance issue. I mean, it's not. I don't care at all. I think that, but I don't care in the fact that unless you're really doing something significant with regards to questioning the state, you're not going to be targeted in that way. In a meaningful way, although they are collecting everything that they can get their hands on. What's my point about that? I can't remember. I was going to go back on that. I had a good point about that shit. I can't remember now. Mine's gone blank. What was it? I cannot remember. Okay, that's enough of that then. So yeah, I'll link the article in the lower bar. It makes some good points, but again, the overall conclusion, I don't agree with. I would say that it is consumer power that's done that. Oh yes, that was the point I was going to make. So we've seen this effect. We've seen consumer power in effect here. And that's just grassroots getting knowledgeable about the situation, sharing information, organising, but basically getting information to people that would be able to make that influence with the pre-orders, with the social network communication and publicity, basically word of mouth, which is always the number one most powerful advertising tool is word of mouth, so they are scared of that if they can't control it. But we've seen that work with so effectively. I'd love to see that also work with regards to the surveillance issue that we're seeing, and that's a much wider issue. Obviously, it's not just a Microsoft thing; it's a US and UK government thing in collusion with public sector company, organisations that are employed to spy and collect our data and all the rest of it. I would love to see that same kind of grassroots effort to oppose that, and we could do that as well. We could oppose those surveillance measures in the same kind of grassroots way, and that would just require things like people getting educated on encryption, using encrypted, like the Tor browser, for example, encrypted email, being more protected with regards to digital privacy, and knowing your rights, and taking steps to, stop them, make it more difficult for them rather to spy on us so egregiously. Because it is an issue, and you say that a lot of people would say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, if you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to worry about. The problem is you don't get to dictate what is wrong. So you could quite easily be accused of doing something wrong, and but you haven't, and that could ruin your life. As we've seen with journalists, reporters and activists that have had anything to do with WikiLeaks recently. The US and UK have been going after that organisation. This is just a media body engaged in the traditional media practice of making sensitive information that is pertinent to the public available. But people that have been associated with that organisation have been targeted through surveillance, through secret injunctions to get people's data, through, stopping them at airports and confiscating laptops and phones, secret court orders to get hold of their private digital information communications, and so that's just one example, and there's a whole litany of examples. That's a whole different subject. Sorry, that's not gaming. I know it's not gaming. Sorry, that's just like one of my main kind of interests, concerns, I guess, at the moment, is the whole surveillance state stuff. But yeah, sorry I went off on track there. I know. You just worry about games, don't you? Well, I don't care. Sorry. I'll put the link in the lower bar to the article that talks about how there could be insider kind of influence on Microsoft's decision as well. But I think in the end it does come down to consumer choice and action, and that's brilliant. So well done, everyone. I'm going to Glastonbury on Tuesday. I cannot wait. I was going to do like a Glastonbury preparation warm-up kind of series videos, but it didn't happen in the end. I might do something before I go away, but I definitely try and get some footage of the festival, so hopefully you'll see some of that in the not too distant future if I come back in one piece. So that would be really cool. Cannot wait. Oh my god, Glastonbury, it is my pilgrimage. It is my Mecca. It's my favourite place in the world, and I love it so much. So that's it. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Go look at the article in the lower bar if you want to. Bye bye.